The air inside the alien palace was cold and tense. Captain Elias Ward stood tall, wearing his Earth-made diplomatic uniform. He had traveled light years across space to bring peace, not war. But now he faced something he didn't expect. Dozens of alien guards pointing long, sharp weapons directly at him. The Queen of Virelia sat high on her silver throne. She had bright violet eyes and skin like polished stone. Her crown shimmered with blue crystals, but her expression was not kind. She looked down at Elias as if he were a threat. "Why does a human come here without warning?" she asked, her voice calm but cold. "And why do you carry our royal symbols?" Elias slowly raised both hands, showing he had no weapons. "I come with respect, Your Majesty," he said. "I didn't arrive without reason. I saved someone important to you." The guards stepped forward. One of them shouted, "You will kneel before the Queen." But just then, a soft sound echoed through the large hall. Small feet were running across the polished floor. Two young alien girls appeared at the entrance. Their gowns were torn, their faces dirty, but their eyes sparkled with recognition. "Captain Elias!" one cried. "Wait!" Everyone turned to see the girls. The Queen's face changed immediately. She stood up fast, her eyes wide with shock. "Leora!" "Vanya?" she whispered. The girls ran across the hall, pushing past the guards. They reached Elias and hugged his legs tightly. They were scared, but also happy. The older one looked up at the Queen. "Mother," she said, "he saved us. He's not the enemy." Silence filled the room. The guards froze. The Queen stepped down from her throne, walking slowly toward them. Elias didn't move. He didn't know what would happen next. But he knew one thing. The girls trusted him, and maybe that was enough to save his life. The Queen dropped to her knees and opened her arms. The two girls ran to her, tears in their eyes. She embraced them, holding them close, "My daughters," she whispered. "You're alive, after all this time." One of the royal advisors stepped forward. "But they were declared missing 3 weeks ago. No one could find them. We searched every planet." Elias cleared his throat. "I found them on a wrecked smuggler ship near the edge of your galaxy. They were locked inside a storage pod. I got them out." The Queen looked at him again, this time with different eyes. Her anger had turned into confusion. Then came something unexpected. Gratitude. "You brought them back to me," she said softly. "I did," Elias replied, "and I would do it again." That evening, Elias sat in a special guest room, deep inside the palace. It was quiet, but guards still stood outside the door, just in case. He didn't blame them. After all, he was a human on a world that didn't trust humans. He looked out the window at the strange twin moons of Virelia. The stars were brighter here than anywhere he'd ever seen. Still, he couldn't relax. A soft knock came at the door. Before he could answer, it opened slightly. The younger princess, Vanya, peeked inside. She smiled. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," Elias said with a smile. "How about you?" "I'm better now. Mother is happy again. She thought we were gone forever." Elias nodded. "You two were very brave. You never gave up." Vanya stepped inside, holding something in her hand, a small crystal necklace. She gave it to Elias. "This was mine," she said, "but I want you to have it. You're like a hero from our stories." Elias took it gently. "Thank you. I'll keep it safe." She smiled and ran off again, her feet light as air. Later that night, the Queen held a private meeting in her council chamber. Only her closest advisors and one human guest were allowed inside. Elias stood before them, still calm, still respectful. "You risked your life for my daughters," the Queen said, "yet you asked for nothing in return. Why?" Elias looked around the room. Because it was the right thing to do, because they were children, because... I'm not here to take anything from you. I came to offer peace between your people and mine." The queen studied his face. No lies, no fear, only honesty. One of her advisors spoke up. "But the humans fought with the Draxians. They destroyed entire systems." Elias nodded. "Yes, but I wasn't part of that war. Most of us want peace. We want to trade, learn, and grow, not fight." The queen was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. "You may stay here, Captain Elias, as our guest, but know this: many do not trust your kind. If even one wrong step is taken, it could mean disaster." "I understand," Elias said, "and I will prove that your trust is not misplaced." The queen stood. "Then let us see if peace is truly possible." As Elias walked back to his room, he passed by a mirror in the long hallway. For a moment, he saw himself differently, not just as a soldier, not just as an envoy, but as a symbol. He didn't just save 2 children. He opened a door that had been closed for centuries, but something inside him whispered, "This is just the beginning." Captain Elias Ward stood in front of a large window, looking out at the alien city of Virelia. The buildings sparkled like crystal towers under the twin moons. But Elias wasn't thinking about the view. He was thinking about what came next. He had rescued the alien queen's daughters, Leora and Vanya, from a crashed smuggler ship. Now he was a guest in the royal palace, but he could still feel the tension in the air. Some aliens respected him, others still wanted him gone. The queen had ordered a full investigation. She wanted to know everything about how her daughters were saved and whether she could truly trust a human. The meeting room. That morning, Elias was called to a special room inside the palace. The walls were smooth and glowing softly, and in the center sat a round table with glowing screens. The queen sat at the head. Her 2 daughters sat beside her, looking cleaner and happier than before. Several alien officials sat around the table. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. "Captain Elias," said the queen, "we want to hear your story. Tell us how you found my daughters." Elias nodded. "It started near the edge of your star system," he began. "I was traveling back to Earth after a failed mission when I received a distress signal. It was weak, and no one else responded. So I changed course." He tapped a button on his wrist device, and a hologram of a broken ship appeared. It was dark and damaged. "This ship was floating near an asteroid belt," Elias said. "It looked abandoned, but the signal came from inside." The officials leaned in. I entered carefully. The ship was filled with smoke. The engines were cold. I heard something inside, a small noise. I followed it and found a locked storage room. He paused. "Inside that room were your daughters, scared, hungry, and weak." Flashback scene. The rescue Elias had used a laser tool to open the door. As soon as it slid open, he saw the 2 alien girls huddled together. The older one, Leora, stood in front of her sister, trying to protect her. "It's okay," Elias had said. "I'm here to help." At first, they didn't trust him. But when he offered them food and water and gently wrapped a blanket around the younger one, their fear started to fade. "I kept them safe," Elias now told the council. "I gave them medicine and took them to my ship. Then I brought them home." Reactions in the room. The queen's eyes were wet with emotion. Her daughters nodded, confirming every part of the story. "He told us jokes," Vanya said with a small smile, "and gave us candy." Some of the council members chuckled. Others remained quiet. One of the generals spoke up. "It's true that he saved them. But what was he doing in our space to begin with?" "I was passing through on a peaceful route," Elias replied. "I didn't enter your space to harm anyone." Another official said, "What if it was a trick? What if the human staged it?" The queen looked at her daughters. "Did he ever harm you? Did he lie?" Leora shook her head. No, he saved us. He even got hurt protecting us when something exploded in the ship. The Queen turned back to the council. That is enough. I believe my daughters, and I believe the human. A new challenge. Later that day, Elias walked through the palace. Gardens with the Queen. It was a private walk. Only 2 guards followed from a distance. You didn't have to risk your life, the Queen said. Why did you do it? Because I saw 2 innocent children in danger, Elias replied. Their species didn't matter. Saving them was the right thing to do. The Queen studied him. You are unlike the humans we have heard about in the past. Not all humans are the same, he said. Some of us still believe in peace. She nodded slowly. There are those in my court who fear you. Some still believe you should leave. I understand, Elias said, but I will stay as long as you allow me. The Queen looked up at the stars. You may stay, but be careful, Captain. Not everyone in this palace wants peace. Back in the halls, as Elias returned to his room, a servant passed him a small box. A gift from Princess Leora, she said. He opened it. Inside was a small carved stone, an alien symbol of trust. He smiled and placed it next to the necklace the younger princess had given him. But then, something strange happened. A guard walked past him and whispered, "Watch your back, human." Not everyone is grateful. Elias turned, but the guard had already disappeared into the shadows. End of Part 2. Elias had saved the princesses. He had earned the Queen's trust. But danger was not over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Captain Elias Ward stood in front of the tall mirror in his guest room. He adjusted his collar and checked his uniform. It had been cleaned by the palace staff and now looked sharp and fresh. Tonight was a royal feast, a celebration, or at least, that's what it was supposed to be. But deep inside, Elias felt something strange, like something wasn't right. The Queen had invited him to the palace banquet as a guest of honor. Her daughters had spoken well of him, and many nobles now respected him. But some eyes still watched him with coldness. He could feel it in the halls, in the silence, in the careful steps of the guards. Still, he had to go. He had come to Varelia for peace. He couldn't back away now. The royal feast. The banquet hall was the most beautiful room Elias had ever seen. The ceilings sparkled like a star field. Long tables were filled with alien fruits, drinks, and colorful foods. Alien nobles in flowing robes filled the room with quiet talk and curious stares. Elias entered calmly. The music stopped for a moment. Captain Elias Ward of Earth, the royal speaker announced. Some guests clapped politely. Others didn't. The Queen stood at the front of the room with her daughters beside her. She raised her hand. Welcome, Captain. Tonight we celebrate the safe return of my daughters and the courage of the one who saved them. Elias bowed respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. He was shown to a seat near the Queen. Leora and Vanya waved to him happily. The younger one giggled, holding a small piece of earth candy he had given her earlier. The feast began. Music filled the room again. Dishes were passed around. Goblets were filled with glowing drinks. Everything looked joyful on the surface. But Elias noticed something. One of the nobles, Lord Kelvar, kept watching him. His smile was small, forced, and he never spoke to anyone. A strange warning. As the main course arrived, a servant bent down beside Elias and whispered quietly, "Don't drink from your cup." Elias turned. Why? But the servant was already gone. He looked at the golden goblet beside his plate. The liquid inside sparkled more than usual. Slowly, carefully, he switched cups with the one beside it, meant for the Queen. She hadn't touched it yet. He leaned over slightly. Your Majesty, may I speak with you in private? She looked surprised but nodded. Come. They walked to a side chamber behind the banquet hall. 2 guards followed. Elias spoke quietly. Someone may be trying to poison me, or you. That, drink. It doesn't feel right. The queen raised an eyebrow. You switched the cups? Yes. She sent one of the guards to test the cup. A moment later, the guard returned with a serious look. There was poison, he said. A slow type. Hard to detect. The queen's face turned hard. Someone inside this room tried to kill one of us. Who can be trusted? The feast continued, but the mood had changed. The queen said nothing about the poison in public. She didn't want panic. But now she knew what Elias had warned her earlier. There were enemies in the palace. That night, Elias was taken to a secret meeting room with the queen and her 2 top advisors. We must find out who is behind this, the queen said. And why? It could be someone who wants to break the chance of peace, Elias said. Or someone who thinks I don't belong here, one advisor agreed. Some lords still hate the idea of trusting humans. They think it makes us look weak. The queen looked thoughtful. But if they were willing to poison me to stop this, then they are dangerous. She turned to Elias. We need proof. If we can find it, I will deal with them myself. Cough. Noble with a secret. The next day, Elias kept his eyes open. He watched the way nobles acted, who spoke too little, who avoided looking at the queen. He remembered Lord Kelvar's strange look during the feast. That evening, he took a small walk in the garden, where Kelvar often went alone. Hiding behind a tree, Elias listened. Kelvar was speaking softly into a communication device. Yes, the human is still alive. I don't know how. No, the queen trusts him now. We need a new plan. Elias recorded the voice with his wrist device. He now had proof. He stepped forward. Interesting conversation. Kelvar turned sharply. You... But Elias was ready. Guards! The royal guards rushed in. Kelvar was caught, and his device was taken. When the queen listened to the recording, her eyes burned with anger. This is betrayal, she said, and a threat to peace. Kelvar was arrested and taken to the deep cells of the palace, a deeper plot. But something still bothered Elias. Your Majesty, he said later, Kelvar mentioned a new plan. That means he's not working alone. The Queen nodded. You're right. There may be others. This is not over. Vanya, the younger princess, looked up. Captain Elias, will you still stay here? He smiled. As long as I'm welcome, Leora added. Mother, he saved us twice. Now, doesn't that make him part of the family? The queen smiled slightly. Not family yet, but maybe something close. The sun of Varelia rose with a golden glow, casting long shadows across the palace walls. Captain Elias Ward stood near a balcony, watching the sky slowly brighten. Below him, the royal garden was quiet. The peace of the moment felt good. But Elias knew it wouldn't last. Lord Kelvar had been caught plotting against the queen. Poison had almost ended her life, and Elias had proven himself again. Still, something felt unfinished. The queen had warned him, Kelvar is not working alone. So now, Elias had one goal, find the rest of the traitors before they made their next move. A quiet talk with the queen later that morning, Elias met with Queen Seraphina in her private chamber. It was a quiet place with silver curtains and soft light. Her daughter sat nearby, reading stories, while the queen spoke in a calm but serious tone. Kelvar confessed under pressure, she said. He belongs to a secret group, nobles who want power. They fear losing control if peace is made with Earth. Elias listened carefully. Do we know who else is involved? She shook her head. No names yet, but there's a whisper of a name. They call their plan Flame of Purity. They believe Varelia must stand alone. Elias frowned. That sounds dangerous. It is, she agreed, and their next step may be war. The princesses bring a clue later that day. Elias walked through the royal library. It was massive, filled with tall bookshelves, glowing scrolls, and ancient tech. He heard soft footsteps behind him. It was Princess Leora and her little sister Vanya. "Captain Elias," Vanya said excitedly. "We found something." Elias knelt down. "What is it?" Leora held out a thin metal card. "We saw one of the palace guards drop this in the garden last night." Elias examined it. It had strange markings, but his translator could read it. "Meeting confirmed. Hidden chamber beneath the Hall of Stars. Flame of purity grows." Elias looked at them with surprise. "This is important. Thank you, both of you." "You're going to stop them, right?" Vanya asked. "I'll try," Elias promised. Into the shadows. That night, Elias went alone into the Hall of Stars. It was a room filled with glowing models of galaxies and planets. Few people entered it at night. He looked around carefully, tapping his wrist device. It scanned for hidden doors. After a few minutes, a section of the wall began to shift. A hidden passage. He stepped inside, walking slowly down a dark, narrow path. His boots made no sound. Lights flickered on the walls, dim and red. Voices echoed ahead. Elias stopped. He crouched and listened. "The queen grows weak. She listens to a human. We must strike before the alliance is signed. If we act tomorrow, no one can stop us." Elias leaned closer, recording everything. Then a shadow moved behind him. He turned, but too late. A blow hit his back. The world went dark. Captured in the dark, Elias woke up in a cold stone room. His hands were tied behind his back. 3 masked nobles stood in front of him. "You should have stayed away, human," one said. "You saved the princesses, yes. But you are still a threat to our power," said another. Elias remained calm. "You're afraid. That's why you hide in secret rooms instead of standing in front of your queen." One of them raised a hand to strike, but a loud noise echoed from above. Boom! Explosions. Panic. Shouting guards. Suddenly the wall broke open. Queen Seraphina's. Royal guards rushed in, weapons ready. The queen herself appeared, followed by her daughters. She looked furious. "Enough lies," she said. "You plot against your own people, and you threaten the future of peace." The traitors tried to escape, but the guards moved fast. Within minutes, all of them were captured. Elias stood up, rubbing his wrists. "Glad you came in time." The queen nodded. "My daughters told me where you were going. I trusted them, and I trusted you." Truth in the light. The next morning, the queen spoke before the entire palace court. Hundreds of nobles, generals, and citizens gathered. She stood tall and strong beside her daughters and Elias. "Last night," she said, "a hidden group tried to destroy the peace we seek. But they failed, and the one they saw as an outsider, Captain Elias, stood against them," the nobles murmured. Some were ashamed. Others clapped softly. Elias said nothing. He simply bowed his head. The queen continued. "I will not allow fear to rule this world. We will move forward. We will build a bridge to earth. We will choose unity over fear." She turned to Elias. "You are not just a guest anymore. You are a friend of the crown." The court applauded loudly. The princesses beamed with pride. A moment of peace later that evening, Elias stood in the garden once again. The sky was filled with stars and a soft breeze moved through the air. Leora and Vanya ran up to him with smiles. "You're famous now," Leora teased. Vanya nodded. "And you didn't even wear a crown." Elias laughed. "I think I'll leave the crown to your mother." Queen Seraphina joined them. "There is still danger out there, but for now, we have peace, thanks to you." Elias looked at the stars. "Peace is never easy, but it's always worth fighting for." end of Part 4, Elias had uncovered a secret conspiracy, saved the Queen again, and became more than just a guest. He became a true symbol of hope. But even as the court cheered, he knew this wasn't the end. The fight for peace had only begun. Captain Elias Ward stood on the balcony of the royal palace, looking up at the stars. The night sky was clear, but his mind was restless. The traitors had been caught, but their secret group, the Flame of Purity, still whispered in the shadows. They were dangerous and would not give up easily. Suddenly, his wrist communicator beeped. It was an urgent message from the Queen. Elias, come to the command center immediately. There is trouble. The command center. Elias rushed through the palace halls to the command center. Inside, the room buzzed with tension. Screens showed distant ships moving fast toward Virelia's orbit. The Queen stood beside her generals, her face serious. "What is happening?" Elias asked. "Enemy ships, Captain," said one general. "They are firing at our diplomatic fleet approaching Virelia." Elias's heart sank. "This means war." The Queen nodded. "It is an attack meant to break the peace talks, a message from those who want conflict." False messages and lies. The Queen turned to Elias. "The attackers used fake signals. They sent false messages, pretending to be from you." Elias frowned. "That's a serious lie. It could destroy trust between our worlds." The generals worked quickly to identify the source of the attack. The Queen looked to Elias. "We need you to help prove the truth." Elias takes action without hesitation. Elias climbed into a small Virelian fighter ship. It was faster than any human ship he had ever seen. "Good luck," the Queen said. "Bring us proof." Elias flew out into space, dodging laser blasts. He used his wrist device to send live messages back to the palace, showing the real situation from his point of view. He reached the attacking ship's control center and managed to hack into their systems. He found records of the fake broadcasts and recorded evidence proving the traitors' plan. Saving the diplomatic fleet, the attack was getting worse. The Virelian defense grid was about to activate automatically, targeting any ship it saw near the planet, including the peaceful human diplomats. Elias quickly reached the defense control station and worked to stop the grid from firing on his people. His hands moved fast as he bypassed security codes. With seconds to spare, he deactivated the grid. Exposing the traitors back at the palace, the Queen broadcasted Elias's live message to the entire population of Virelia. "The Flame of Purity has lied and attacked us," she declared. "Thanks to Captain Elias, their plan has failed. The palace guards arrested more nobles linked to the secret group." The Queen turned to Elias in front of the court. "You have saved my people again. You have saved the future of our alliance." A new bond later, the princesses found Elias in the garden. "You did it," Leora said. "You stopped a war." Vanya hugged him tightly. "We believe in you." Elias smiled. "And I believe in peace." The halls of the Virelian palace were alive with excitement. After the recent attack had been stopped and the traitors exposed, preparations were underway for a historic event, the first formal alliance conference between Earth and Virelia. Captain Elias Ward stood near a large window looking out over the city. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting a soft silver glow on the palace towers. He took a deep breath and felt the weight of what had been accomplished and what still lay ahead. The Alliance Conference, inside the Grand Hall, the Queen stood proudly at the head of the long table. Delegates from Earth and Virelia filled the seat room, their uniforms and robes showing the blending of two worlds. Elias took his seat beside Queen Serafina. Her daughters, Leora and Vanya, sat close by, their eyes bright with hope. The Queen spoke clearly and confidently. "Today, we do not just sign a treaty. We build a future where our peoples live as friends, not enemies. We promise to share knowledge, protect each other, and grow together." The room filled with applause. For the first time, humans and Virelians truly felt connected. A gift from Virelia. After the conference, the queen invited Elias to a private garden. There, under the shining stars, she presented him with a special gift, a finely carved statue of a human and Virelian holding hands. "This is a symbol of our new friendship," she said, "and a reminder that trust can overcome fear." Elias held the statue carefully. "I will treasure it," he said, "and I will work every day to deserve this trust." The princess's promise. The two princesses joined them, smiling. "We want to visit Earth someday?" Leora said. "Yes," Vanya added. "There is much to learn and share." Elias smiled. "And I will be your guide." The queen watched them and then spoke softly. "You changed how we see humans. You gave us hope." Returning home days later, Elias prepared to return to Earth. The queen and her daughter stood at the spaceport waving goodbye. "Remember," the queen said, "the future depends on the courage to trust." Elias nodded. "I will carry that with me." As his ship lifted off, he looked back at Virelia one last time. A world once filled with fear, but now filled with hope. A message from the queen. Back on his ship, Elias received a final message from the queen. "We believed humans were dangerous," her voice said. "But you showed us that kindness can cross any star. Together, we will face the future, stronger, united." Elias smiled and stared at the stars. The journey ahead. He knew challenges would come. Old fears die hard. But Elias felt ready. He had saved two princesses, earned the trust of a queen, and helped build a bridge between two worlds. And that was only the beginning.